evening and thank you for joining us. It was a tragic long weekend on the region's highways, which saw two separate fatal collisions. The first happened near Herkett on Saturday involving a passenger vehicle and a transport. A 31-year-old in the passenger vehicle died as a result. The second fatal crash happened yesterday morning on Highway 527, just north of Cliff Road. Police haven't identified a victim in that collision. Both crashes caused lengthy highway closures, though the stretches have now reopened to the public. It's the first day of 2024, which means people across the city celebrated the new year with friends and family last night. For many, that means having a few drinks, with Thunder Bay Police out once again for their New Year's ride check. Lee Noonan has the story.
Thunder Bay Police laid impaired driving charges against two local men on New Year's Eve. Officers out with the ride program stopped a few hundred vehicles throughout the night and in the morning.
I know our ride programs are generally at night, and that's when the public expects us out. But it's New Year's Day. A lot of people are out partying a little bit extra late, and they get up in the morning and they are still impaired, whether that is drugs or alcohol. People don't give themselves enough time to sober up.
One of the impaired charges was laid after a single vehicle collision involving a 21-year-old. As a young driver, the legal alcohol level is 0. Police reported no serious injuries. The other driver charged on New Year's Eve had a prior conviction for impaired driving and was also charged with prohibited driving. In contrast, none of the drivers stopped on New Year's Day were charged, and those who were tested all showed an alcohol level of 0. Constable Chad Sharp is optimistic that the quiet morning stems from people getting the message and actually waiting to sober up.
We haven't seen a lot of people impaired. We've seen an awful lot of people. Generally speaking, I think the word is maybe getting out.
Sharp reminds the public that there is no easy rule of thumb for when it's safe to get back behind the wheel after drinking or consuming drugs.
It's going to depend on how late you stayed up, how heavy you are, your gender, and how much you've consumed. There's no set time, and time is all that's going to sober you up. And if you think you aren't, then you probably aren't. Just get a ride, stay over, walk. It's a beautiful morning. Don't get behind the wheel.
Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Over at Fort William Historical Park, many families got a head start ringing in the new year yesterday. It was the fort's annual New Year's Eve family frolic, featuring live music, activities, and of course, fireworks. Jess Clement reports.
Fort William Historical Park wrapped up its 50th anniversary and 2023 with a bang. The annual New Year's Eve family frolic saw over 1,600 visitors who were excited to ring in the new year with a variety of activities and entertainment on site. This includes a log sawing contest, a toboggan making demonstration, a glow room, and live music throughout the evening. Fort General Manager Patrick Morash says he couldn't think of a better way to end the new year.
We think that being able to provide a family-friendly New Year's event that runs between 4 and 8 o'clock, that gives families with young kids an opportunity to get out and enjoy themselves and enjoy fireworks, because typically fireworks don't happen until midnight. It's clear that the people of the area really appreciate that.
Morash says this whole year, where they celebrated their 50th anniversary, was pretty successful, as the fort was able to bring back local and regional residents while bringing in new visitors from across North America. He adds that they're looking forward to another 50 years.
We're so thrilled with the range of support that we received from people in the community, people in the region, and many new partners. We've developed a number of new partnerships over the course of the year, and we think that that's been really beneficial for us as an organization. So we want to thank the community for supporting us.
The event ended with a 10-minute fireworks show that lit up the night sky. And we spoke to some visitors who said they were happy to spend their new year at the fort.
Me and my family came a few years ago and we had a great time, so we decided to come again this year. They have a bunch of fun activities and we got to see a bunch of really pretty fireworks.
I'm from Minneapolis, drove up for the long weekend and just have never been to the fort, so I wanted to check it out. And I loved seeing all the different music. He loved dancing to all the different artists that were here, and we loved seeing all the craftsmen doing their things. It was great.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
The Lake Superior Scottish Regiment held their annual New Year's Day levee at the Armory on Park Avenue. The Canadian military tradition has been celebrated in Thunder Bay for decades. The tradition originated in the 16th century, when Quebec City was the capital of New France. The event is a chance for members of the military to toast the new king and share a drink with the general public and local politicians, many of whom were in attendance. Lieutenant Colonel David Ratt says that while the event is apolitical, it's important local leaders build a connection with the people who serve in the military here.
It is an opportunity for those elected officials to come and see the soldiers who serve, soldiers and sailors in this case, who serve Canadians, who serve in the Canadian Armed Forces, and when they talk about defense issues, they can put a face to that service. It's people like me and others who serve in our community in Thunder Bay.
The military plays a hugely important role in our country, both domestically and internationally, as peacekeepers, as partners to ally missions, but also domestically in responding to things like climate disasters and other kinds of regional disasters. And so I always feel a great deal of gratitude to the military. So it's lovely to be here to toast in the new year with them.
This year's levee also included the local naval garrison, which in the past was held a separate event. But Ratt says the plan going forward is for the two garrisons to continue the collaboration and alternate hosting the New Year's levee. Last week, the Thunder Bay Museum unveiled a new temporary exhibit called Under the Scope: Medical History at the Lakehead. The exhibit features a timeline of history of medicine in Thunder Bay with a specific focus on epidemics and pandemics. Visitors can see the rich history of hospitals and the different pieces of equipment that were used. Executive Director Scott Bradley says the exhibit was planned for about 2 years ago, but among other things was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now he says it makes it that much more important.
This is a good way to explore, our region's connections to the world, because a lot of things, explained in here talk about how connected we are to the rest of the world, and at the same time, how isolated we are. It's a good way to look at our connections to the world.
The exhibit is available to the public on the second floor until February 4th. Local skiers were able to begin 2024 by supporting youth sports at Loch Lomond, as the hill hosted a free by donation ski day. It was Loch Lomond's busiest day of the season so far, as hundreds took advantage of the holiday event to hit the slopes. The event was meant to bring more people out to ski and snowboard, and coaches were on site to teach those new to the sports. Donations raised went towards the Nor'westers Alpine Club, a nonprofit organization that provides ski racing training for young athletes.
We want everybody that we possibly can get out. We want to see a lot of people enjoy the sport of skiing. And most importantly, as a club, we'd like for people to join our club and carry on the tradition and create long-time skiers and racers.
We were off to a really slow start this season, and the last couple of days the weather's gotten a little cooler and we've got some natural snow on the ground, and today it's beautiful and sunny out, and I think it's really given some people the idea to come out and get out on the ski slopes.
Officials say they're hoping to open more runs and the chairlift on the north side within the next few days. As we've now entered 2024, it's a time for everyone to reflect on the past year. That includes our local politicians, who spoke to us about their political highlights of the past 12 months.
The Coast Guard contract for medium-sized ships that Heddle Marine, I think, has put in a bid for, which if they get that, will mean jobs for Thunder Bay. The subway car contract for Toronto and TTC, and of course lithium mining and the lithium refinery. That's huge.
If we're going to claim to be a mining capital, that we have to vault forward and make sure that our infrastructure and our housing capacity is being addressed, so we can get those people to move here, live here, and bring their families here. And that's, to me, would be the most singular success that we can achieve.
Affordable housing, something that, as you know, our government has been working on over the last 8 years, but has really reached a crescendo with the recovery from the pandemic and the worsening of housing markets across the country, including here in Thunder Bay. So I'll be working really closely with the City of Thunder Bay and many of the smaller communities in my riding to make sure that we have the supports in place we need as our communities continue to grow and change.
I really want to focus on making sure that we have all three levels of government engaged and doing their part to ensure that these opportunities become a reality. and that and that's really going to go a long way to address the economic benefit of Northwestern Ontario, but with an improvement in our economy comes the improvement in our society and our social programming.
Highway safety, and it affects all of us in the region. It affects businesses, it affects families. We know that there are some pretty serious problems with how drivers are not being trained. Okay, they're paying for training, but they're not actually getting the training, and that makes them vulnerable on the highway.